am, but the career service at the university looked over it and gave some suggestions for it. Yeah, good question.
I think we are going to move on to our next presentation from Magdalena Gilek and her team on job quality and well-being for young people in Europe. Magdalena, you're happy to share your own slides?
Yes, I am. I'm just going to share the slides. Actually, I don't have the option to share the slides.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I can share the desktop if that worked for everyone, right?
Oh, that's probably what everyone else did, because Michelle, that's what you were saying earlier, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I did.
That's strange.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't use Zoom actually, so I'm not sure. This is the second time I'm using it.
The first time was probably in June 2020 in the small group meeting.
I think so. So can you see my slides? I'm just going
Yes.
to kind of minimize everything. So it's okay, Belgian, right?
It's okay, but we're not in full screen presentation mode.
Okay, so I just put the full screen like this.
That's it, yes.
Is that
Perfect.
okay? Yeah, perfect. So hi everyone, my name is Magdalena, and this research on young people's job quality and well-being is based on my PhD that I've completed in 2020 with Patricia Finlay and Dora Scolarius as my supervisors. So I have spoken a little bit about this research last time, about specific aspects of this research, but to provide you with some context, young people, we know that young people have been facing increasingly challenging working lives, and this was even before the pandemic. When I started my research in 2014, so we know that when compared to other age groups, young people really tend to experience greater insecurity, greater uncertainty in paid work, and they are a lot more likely to be underemployed. So, for example, in jobs that do not match their skills or qualifications. And despite this evidence, much current action in employment and skills policy really focuses on reducing youth unemployment and getting more people into paid work. And most policy interventions have prioritized the role of individual level factors. So for example, young people's skills and experience in building careers and in securing good quality jobs. So the focus has been on enhancing, for example, young people's employability, their qualifications to make them more employable in the labor market. And these policy interventions are really important because they really support school to work transitions, but less attention has been paid to the quality of work. So what really happens to young people after they've entered paid work? What type of jobs young people do? And we know that there are many negative consequences of unemployment, and there's a lot of research in this area. But the evidence suggests that moving from poor quality work, moving from unemployment to poor quality work is worse for health and well-being than remaining unemployed. When I think also relates what somebody has asked before during this session, that there's quite a lot of evidence now, especially when we look at research on working age population, that actually being in a poor quality work is worse for health and well-being than remaining unemployed. So this all evidence really shows that, you know, beyond the employment status, beyond focusing on young people's skills and employability, it is also important to consider the quality of work among young people who are in paid employment. So I think the slides are moving. So our research focuses on job quality and well-being among young workers aged 18 to 34. And job quality refers to job level characteristics of work. So it includes dimensions such as pay, work-life balance, work intensity, working hours, and also intrinsic aspects of work. So skills, autonomy, social support, and meaningful work.
It's 1 minute, Magdalena.
1 minute. So in our study, job quality was associated with lower well-being among young adults. So most of the indicators of job quality actually were associated with negative outcomes. And they related to both kind of work-related well-being and context-free well-being, meaning that the effects of poor quality work may spill over to the life in general. So based on that, we can see that the impact of job quality is already evident in young adulthood, and we know that this may change as young people accumulate exposures to poor working conditions later on in life. So based on this, in terms of recommendations, I think that it's really important, based on the results of the study, to monitor job quality for young people, because we still know very little about the quality of work among young people, what challenges they may face, experience in paid work, and what outcomes poor quality jobs may create for young adults. And I think that monitoring and measuring job quality would be a good starting point and would really allow to design evidence-based interventions. So taking this holistic approach to youth employment and really supporting young people after they've entered paid work. And the second would be encourage support from employers. So I think that employers are an important stakeholder. They really contribute to young people's work experience. And this study found that young people are often in jobs for which they are overskilled or overqualified. So really reducing overskilling is very important. And this can be done, for example, during the recruitment and selection process, but also improving access to good quality work. So really tackling work intensity and improving access to training is important. We have this recent evidence suggesting that young workers have been affected by large decreases in the volume of training in the last decade. And this suggests that organizations really do not consider training as priority for young workers. And this is really worrisome because in the labor market, when young workers are exposed to so many uncertainties and so many possible career interruptions, the role of employer-provided skills development and training is really important, not only for their career progression, but according to our study, also to their well-being. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry if I'm running a bit late.
Thank you for that, Magdalena. And our next presenter actually couldn't make it here because quite surreally, he is flying. So Jose Ramos from University of Valencia, he couldn't make it today, but he picks up from where Magdalena left off on overskilling, and he will be talking about overqualification in this recorded video. Dora, do you want me to put it on, or are you happy?
Yes, please, because you know how to press the video button.
Well, a little bit, a word of warning or recommendation. We've tried this in our trial run, and we recommend if you turn the live transcript on, because the video can be a bit faint at times, and the live transcript really helps. So on your screen, you should see a little live transcript button at the bottom of the control panel.
What did you just do, Belgian? Because it appeared and then it disappeared.
Oh,
There it is.
Is
It's
it?
there.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so fingers crossed this is going to work. Share sound. This is always experimental.
Hello, this policy brief addresses what is overqualification, why does it matter, and what we can do to mitigate.
I have no idea how this is moving. Start again, sorry. Sorry, start again.
Hello, this policy brief addresses what is overqualification, why does it matter, and what we can do to mitigate its negative effects. Overqualification is a person-job mismatch, and we can distinguish between overqualification as overeducation and as overskills. These variables show modest negative correlation among them. Measures of overqualification vary from individual perceptions to statistical or normative gaps. Overqualifications show a large prevalence, between 10 and 30% of workers, depending on groups, countries, and measurements. Women, young people, or migrants are among groups with higher overqualification rates. Overqualification has several antecedents, both from the demand side, as labor market, regulation, and education system variables, as well as from the supply side, the individuals, like qualifications not relevant for labor demands, because job search inefficiencies, or because there is a stepping stone for future advancement, or used for avoiding undesired job failures, or instead unemployment. Overqualification is associated with deprivation of expected job failures, salary penalties, decreased job and career satisfaction, and other job attitudes. It affects well-being and drains career advancement, whereas the surplus of qualifications stimulates performance, associated demotivation could reduce it. Interestingly, there are several variables that stimulate motivations at work that can moderate the detrimental effects of overqualification to performance and other variables. In addition, overqualified is a persistent phenomenon. For most overqualified, more than a half remain overqualified after 5 years. Reasons for being trapped on overqualification are several. For instance, overqualification are externally signaled as poor performers, avoiding career advancement. Other possibility is because overqualified misuse their skills and become de-skilled and outdated. Another reason could be because overqualification is only apparent the people has the expected or the appropriate skills that match the demands of job. Other reasons are inefficiencies in the process of job search. But other reasons to remain overqualified are habituation to current job conditions after some time, or resignation after a period of being shocked. Balancing pros and cons of overqualification will show modest cost at the end. Well, this model summarizes the main antecedents both from the demand side and the supply side, as well as some consequences of overqualification. At the same time, there are different variables that moderate the relationships among these variables. Different strategies could be adapted to reduce the persistence and the effects of overqualifications. From the economic and labor market agents, we could stimulate and support the creation of services, jobs, sectors, and companies focused on high qualified staff and increase investment in research and development. At the same time, labor regulations should promote labor flexibility when maintaining protection laws for workers. From the point of view of the education system, some strategies to enhance these links between education and competencies could be developed. For instance, we can promote some competencies in order to find labor market requirements. We can favor on the job dual training and job experiences that are related with the field of studies. In addition, career orientation services should be strengthened, including both information about labor market, overqualification and job search, as well as career planning and employability as a psychological resources. Focus should be on person job fit more than on quick labor insertion. Finally, companies and employees have a relevant role providing job design strategies like job crafting, autonomy, empowerment, job enrichment, and other opportunities to put into practice the employee's qualifications. Moreover, they should offer realistic job previews, fighting against credential inflation and stigmatization of overqualified, as well as they can develop opportunities for training and development into their human resources management system. And in the end, companies should provide opportunities for motivation and personal growth of overqualified. Thank you.
So that was Jose, and as I said, unfortunately, Jose couldn't be here today, but we're happy to take questions and pass them on to him if you'd like to get in touch. And last but not least, we have Andra Tofan from the European Youth Parliament, who is going to talk to us about the title of our event, Making Chocolate Teapots. And I need to pull up the policy brief, hopefully.
Thank you, that would be very good.
Sorry, Andra.
No worries, no worries.
Here we are. Okay, and make it full page. That's working?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to
yeah.
put myself on mute now. Thank you, Andra.
I think that's perfect. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, firstly, for having me. This summer, I was the chairperson of the Employment Committee at the European Youth Parliament UK session, the national session, and we received the question of what countries and various stakeholders involved in the situation can do to ensure that young people have rewarding entry-level positions. And this question was the result of two unfortunate and very shocking statistics that we had. The first one being that 40% of people in the US think that their jobs are meaningless, and 30% of people in the UK do not get personal fulfillment at work. And before I explain to you the recommendations that we found and the scale of the issue, just to break down what it actually means to be personally fulfilled at work, as basic as it will sound, we have simply 4 pillars for personal fulfillment at work. One needs to feel inspired by the work they do. One needs to feel useful for the work they do. One needs to have opportunities to grow in their organization or in their industry generally. And simply one needs to feel respected by one's employer and their colleagues. And although these requirements are very basic, unfortunately, most organizations do not know how to facilitate this personal fulfillment at work. And just to give you an example of how big this problem is, 79% of people interviewed in a survey in the US and Canada said that they quit their jobs simply for the reason that they felt disrespected at work. So very poor leadership situations and toxic working environments. Just bearing this in mind for a second, as it has been discussed in the past hour, we know that currently young people are struggling a lot because of the COVID-19 situation. And in the UK, for example, 2/3 of the job losses were from young people. They have been struggling anyways with depression and anxiety before the pandemic, as it has been mentioned. But now with the pandemic coming, approximately 50% of them reported that they're struggling. And they do not know how to enter the job market. So against this background, this already existing background, and the fact that they're actually at risk of entering professions that do not provide personal fulfillment at work anyways, we came up with a few short-term solutions and then long-term solutions to hopefully tackle this problem. Regarding short-term solutions, we firstly believe that considering how big the crisis is because of the pandemic, it is not sufficient to only provide a boost of confidence, for example, better career services or networking opportunities. We actually believe that it's needed for young people to also receive financial assistance in their job search, and also, of course, to incentivize employers to give opportunities to young people. So specifically, we would like, for example, to see national governments subsidizing young people's currently unpaid internships, which unfortunately are most prominent in small and medium enterprises. Then also to increase funding to job retention schemes and financially incentivize the employers who hire young people in their first jobs. And most importantly, also with a view in the long term, to also financially reward those employers who have very highly qualitative mentorship programs. And various speakers previously mentioned, mentorship is extremely vital in arts and humanities and social sciences, because those are commonly the industries where networking is needed. And especially for people who do not have connections in the industry, it is very difficult to enter this industry and find their first job, so that it also reflects the qualifications that they have. So we would like to financially reward employers that think about these mentorship programs. And in the long term, we would like to start not very early on, but quite early on from school. So not only universities with career services, but from school. We talk about healthy working environments, we talk about employment rights, but what do they actually mean? So we would like to have a subject in the school curricula that especially addresses these things. What are your employment rights in the UK or generally in any country that you might go to work in? We're quite a globalized, we live in a globalized century, so it's really useful to know your employment rights. Then the future of work, how does it look like, especially now with hybrid working? And what it actually means to be in a healthy working environment. So what do you need to look for? What type of questions do you need to ask those people when you're looking for your jobs? And then I think I have 1 minute, or my time is up.
1 minute.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That's lovely. Also, we would like to see tailored and confidential career and mental health advice. So we definitely commend the schools who, for example, invite mental health advisors or deliver career workshops, but these are to a class of people. We think that it's necessary to take it one step further and to have tailored one-to-one appointments from school with a career advisor and a mental health advisor, so that when people go to university, they already know what questions they need to ask themselves in case they maybe they don't have the courage to approach their career services. So it already becomes a habit for them to be reflective. Then we would also like to see these mental health advisors in organizations, again, not only just workshops from time to time, but to have definitely a person to approach whenever a situation arises. Very importantly, to address the social stereotypes that unfortunately were existing before the pandemic, that, for example, young people are lazy and sometimes unsuited for work. To invest in public information campaigns, we believe that would be the most efficient option. And lastly, just in the long term as well, it's very important to have mentorship within the organizations as well. So for employees who want to become the future leaders of the organizations, those employees to have the opportunity to present themselves in board meetings and to put on the table the issues that the group they are part of are encountering at the moment. And these are just a few solutions that we found. And if you have any questions, more than happy to develop on them. Or if you think that something is not really feasible, also more than happy to get your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andra, for sharing your insights from the European Youth Parliament perspective with us as well. Let me see the questions and answers. We're running slightly later than we anticipated, but I think we're still good for our 2 hours. Shall we take our 5 minutes just now and then come back for our discussions? So if we reconvene at 20 past, is that a good time? Okay. See you guys, everyone, in 5 minutes, 4 minutes now.